do it again.
Hey, Pastor, how are you?
I'm still okay. I'm okay.
This is our random moment with Pastor David and
Yeah.
church family. Want to welcome you guys, and it's always good to see you, Pastor.
Yeah.
My question today would be more on what you do outside the church. You know, the church sees you here week in and week out, teaching and teaching us Bible studies every week. Those who are on staff, they see you here. You're in your office preparing for messages. You are counseling people. You're having meetings with the council. You're recording. You're speaking with other pastors. You have your monthly pastor meetings. And so you're quite busy and your days fill up quick. I see firsthand you're a very, very busy person here at the office. When you're not here at the office, are there things that you particularly enjoy? Or is there a hobby that you do when you're outside the office? How does that work when you're on vacation, if you take one, if you're out with Marie? What does that look like?
You know, basically, Marie in my life is the church. I mean, that's what it is. What I do here is just a snapshot of what my life actually is. Because if we happen to go places, which on occasion we'll go get coffee somewhere or do something where we actually can get off the car and sit at a table. Randy Walls would tell you this. This happens all the time with him, all the time. He's seen it so many times. It doesn't really matter where we're at in the area. I mean, somebody will walk up to me inevitably because our church
Right.
has been around for almost 40 years, and we've impacted a lot of people, and he sees it all the time. We've been in other states where people have walked up and spoken to me and said, "Oh, I know you," and this and that. And so I'm always in ministry, so I'm always aware of that. And so I would say that what we do when I'm not here in the office is we relax together, you know, and spend time together. And the big thing for Marie and me is we just drink coffee together, you know, once a day. You know, it's not like all day. We'll go and get a cup of coffee, and we that's what we do, because I want to get my mind off of the busyness of my office. There are times that I just kind of just relax. You know, many years ago now, probably 19 years ago, I had a health scare where I lost my memory. The doctors didn't know what it was. It could have been what they call a TIA, which is a minor stroke of some sort, a memory loss, and it was pretty bad, and so very bad. And so I was hospitalized more than once with this, and so I needed to find something to exercise my brain, because my memory was affected. And so I started playing video games, you know, and I'm no gamer by any means, you know, I'm not one of these guys who is actually good at it, but I found that memorizing maps and things like that helped my brain to actually learn to function again. You know, people don't know this, you know, about me, but some do. I was just speaking to somebody the other day who was mentioning that they've been in our ministry, been under my teaching since the mid 80s. And he said, your teaching style has changed. He was speaking to me about that. And he says, maybe you need to go back to the way you used to preach. Well, I was sharing with him, and I said, well, you know, I said, when I used to, early days, I had 2.5 pages of notes. And because I had a memory that I was able to just tie in all these things. And all I said, and now seeing that I've gone through these damaging experiences, I have broadened my notes from 2.5 pages to 7 pages, 8 pages, and sometimes 9. And I have to actually read through my points to make sure that the things that I'm saying are accurate. And so that's fatiguing. And so what happened is I started playing video games that would help me to memorize different things. They call them maps, you know, and memorize. And that way it's strengthened my ability to retrieve. And it's actually been, for me, very helpful. And Marie had bought me some brain exercises and things 19 years ago. So my way of thinking is a little more structured now because of that. So that's one of the things that I'll do on occasion. I'll play a video game at home, and Marie will go do whatever she's doing, and she just gives me time. because it's a way of exercising my thinking and putting thoughts together and memorization, and that's been very good and helpful for me. I'm very grateful that I was able to discover that way, and it's helped me. So I'll do that. If we go out, we normally will go with friends. So Randy and Jeanette Walls, who are dear, very, very dear friends, we'll go out together, maybe grab a meal, but it's always ministry.
Right.
It's never a time that it's not. Just this last week, Dave and Sonia Trujillo, took us out. They wanted to spend time with us, and Dave took us out for dinner at Pinnacle Peak.
Nice.
But it's all ministry. He's dear to me. I love him, and I consider him a young friend. He's more like a son to me than a peer. But I love David and Sonia very much. They're very dear to me. He got saved under our ministry, and he's a son to me, and he knows that. But we were able to have a meal with him, and we talk about the Lord, talk about ministry, and that's pretty much our life, John. It's everything that we do is related to ministry. We go on vacation if we do. I'm on vacation now, but you see, I came walking in to see what's going on, how things going. Is there anything I need to know? Because my mind is always on my church, even with the COVID. When COVID first struck back in March, and they said everything is mandatorily shut down. You were with me. You were here too. Every week we were here, even though the church was not open.
Mm-hmm.
So I could minister to anybody who showed up because I love my sheep. We never broadcast it. We didn't want people to know. Jesus said, "Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing when you're giving." I don't think you should broadcast or have your PR team take pictures of me out there just ministering, because there are people who do that in their ministries. That. Look at me, I'm serving God. My church didn't know that because I wanted to speak to whomever was there who needed to speak. And you saw how that did happen, where we had opportunities to minister to our sheep who may have not had an opportunity to ever take a moment with me, and I would not have been able to with them. So I was grateful.
And there was that one couple that came specifically. They lived quite a ways away, and they came and they were able to. They received prayer from you. That was so special for them.
It was neat.
Yeah,
it was neat. They drove a good distance. I told them, "Will you drive that long to get here?"
Right.
And they said, "Yeah." I'm grateful for people like that, John. I tell you. See, Marie and I mean, when I met Marie and I was teaching in Ontario, I was driving the 35 miles, 40 miles, whatever it is, from Norwalk here every Monday to this area. I never thought about that. When I was going to church, I would go to church in Santa Ana, or I'd go to church in Anaheim, or wherever it was, from Norwalk. Never thought about the 10, 15 minute, 20 minute drive, 30 miles, whatever it was. Never thought about it. But I never was able to put into my thought life that people actually love coming here, even from distances.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a brother who's out in the high desert who comes here to minister on Wednesdays and ministers on Sundays. He drives that long, and I'm blessed and I'm humbled by men like that, and women, his wife. I'm humbled by that, to think that they love their church that much, and they serve here and call me pastor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, when you have that kind of thing, John, that's really your life. And so for me, my ministry, serving Jesus, has always, 47 years, that's been my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's, again, we spoke about it earlier, there's really no distinction between life outside of church and pastoring a church, because your role and your calling is so interwoven into your life. It's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That there is no, okay, I'm taking off my pastor hat now for the next few days, because wherever you go, you mentioned earlier that Jesus was in Caesarea Philippi, right, which is considered a resort. He was there ministering to them, asking them the most important question, right?
Yeah, who to say that I am.
Yeah, and so it's interesting, because I don't think the church understands, and some of them do, not that they're ignorant to it, but they just don't see that the role of a pastor doesn't just, when you walk off that pulpit, it's not just left there.
No, it is who you are. Every police officer understands that. Every police officer, I don't know a single police officer who doesn't bring his service revolver wherever he goes. He's always a police officer. Even when he's off duty, he's always a police officer. A professor in a college is always a professor. It doesn't matter where they're at. There may be something that somebody begins to have a question about that is his expertise, and he goes right into the role of teacher because that's what he does. And ministry is no different. I can't tell you the times that I've had people approach me on airplanes. I've had them walk up, strangers who walked up in malls who have said, "You're David Rosales, aren't you?"
Remember we're in Israel? That's happened twice, 2 years in a row. We were in Chorazin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There was a couple that came up. She says, "Aren't you Pastor David Rosales?"
Yeah.
And then that happened again. Can't remember the year before that. I don't know if we were at the baptism site.
Yeah.
But it's happened, and I was like, "Wow."
It's weird. It's weird. Yeah. And we've had it. I was in San Luis Obispo one time, and Marie and I got up early. It was an early Saturday. It was early for us when you're taking time off, 8:00, getting up, being ready, and being out by 8. It's kind of early. But there was a particular store in town that sell these great cookies, and we got some coffee, and we're going to have a cookie. And we're about to walk into the store. It had opened up. It was a little after 8. And a couple comes walking out of the store and opens the door and says, "So you do like San Luis Obispo?" And I look at him and I say, "Yeah." He says, "I go to your church."
Wow.
Just recently, within the last 3 months or so, Marie and I went up to Washington State, did some ministry. We were coming home and decided to spend the night in Carmel. And so Randy, Jeanette, and Marie and I were in Carmel and are going to get some coffee or something. And we're walking down the street, and Daniel, one of our music ministers, was there in Carmel, and he walks up, "Hi, Pastor Dave," and his wife,
Oh,
and there
cool.
we are in Carmel, right? So, yeah, we've been in a particular restaurant in San Luis Obispo, just outside in Pismo, called McClintock's, and Marie and I are sitting at the table in McClintock's in Pismo Beach, and our waitress walks up and says, "Hi, Pastor. I went to your church. I'm going to Cal Poly up here in San Luis Obispo. It's nice to see you." So I've had them in airplanes. I've had them in foreign countries. I've had that in other states. We were in New Mexico. I did some ministry, and Marie and I are walking, going through, giving our ticket to get onto the plane, and the person standing there who's working there at the door says, "I was in church this morning. I heard you speak. Thank you." So yeah, that's a great thing. It also is a thing that reminds me that I am always to be aware of who I am, always, because you never know. You never know who knows you, and you may not know them. And when you consider, John, our ministry here in this church alone is closing in on 40 years, and then 2.5 years as an assistant somewhere else, and then other Bible studies I've taught in other places we've gone to. I never cease to be amazed at the people, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in some other state. I'm never cease to be amazed at the opportunities that you have. I was to minister. Marie and I were at a restaurant up in Claremont, and we're having dinner with a friend of mine I've known for a long time, and we have the partitions that separate the booths and all of that. Somebody steps up and looks over the partition.
They recognize your voice?
Yeah, they said, "Pastor David, I need some prayer. Can you remember me in prayer?" So yeah, of course, I get up and walk over there. I pray with him in his booth and visit with him. So yeah, that we've had that so many times, and yeah, so yeah, Paul speaks how Christ, who is our life, ministry. Christ is our life, and so we don't take time off. You don't. Even like you said, when Jesus was in Caesarea Philippi, in that resort, Caesarea Philippi, he should have been resting. He needed to rest, but he doesn't. He is giving his message, and that's what we do. And I love it. I mean, I would have it no other way. I love it.
And the church is thankful.
Some are.
for you and for you, Pastor, and for Marie, your faithfulness to the Lord and to teaching us week in and week out. And it is evident that wherever you go, you're Pastor David. There's no distinguishing, okay, today's who I am and today's this is who I am. And so thank you so much, Pastor.
Oh, of
Well,
course.
enjoy the rest of your vacation, and we look
Yeah.
forward to when you come back, and
I'll be
God bless
back.
you.
All right.
Thanks, Pastor.